Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, time to make our official picks here on this Saturday episode. Purple Picks on Purple Daily. Daily Vikings entertainment. A lot of you have maybe discovered this show over the past couple weeks with the Vikings being 3-0. So thank you, Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, our mustached producer, Declan Goff, who decided to grow a mustache and not cut it until the Vikings lose. And now they're 3-0. Let's go.
I was just looking like a month, because it's been on for about a month. I put this on around Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't know what I look like without it.
Yeah, I don't remember what you look like clean shaven either. It's been too long.
It's
and
a good
if the Vikings
stash.
keep winning.
I keep saying it's a good stash.
Yeah. Maybe you can wrap that stash around one of these brand new Justin Jefferson 32-ounce Pepsi souvenir cups right here, yeah? I'm going to wrap my beer around it right now. So Pepsi has unveiled this brand new 32-ounce Glorious Cup, which is available now inside local Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations. So you can go and pick yours up. There's a QR code on the cup here, too, which allows you to scan and enter to win Victor's Ride, a glorious Vikings-themed Polaris ATV. Last year, Jason from Egan won this thing, and Pepsi brought CJ Ham and the Skol line and Victor out to his house to deliver the Polaris ATV. Pepsi's also given away a solo pizza stove this year, Vikings autograph merch in addition to Victor's Ride. So go get your Justin Jefferson souvenir cup inside local Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations. And like a couple of you did yesterday, send me pictures of your cups at Phil Mackey on Twitter/X so we can see you out there enjoying whatever beverage you have. Let's start with this question, boys, before we get into what the Sharps are saying in our official picks. What are you most confident in on the Viking side of things going into Lambeau Field?
That Jordan Love, if he indeed plays, and all indications are he will play in this game, coming off a couple-week hiatus because of an MCL injury, will be sorry he decided to come back in this game. The Vikings, they don't blitz as much as they did, but they're getting pressure. They're definitely getting to quarterbacks. One part of what makes Love good is the mobility. The Vikings defense gave Love problems in Lambeau last year. In late December, when the defense was banged up and the Vikings were far more depleted, Love had a great game. But that was as far as I know, 100% healthy, at least from a knee standpoint, Jordan Love. It's not just Brian Flores. He's done a great job. But it's also a lifestyle now of this defense to make quarterbacks' lives hell. And any lack of mobility is going to be exposed. So I am most confident in Jordan Love, but better have his head on a swivel because his legs probably aren't going to be working like he wants them to.
I'm most confident in Aaron Jones and the revenge game that he has in store here for his former team in the Green Bay Packers. I love what Aaron Jones has brought to this team, and he's going to play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I think it's going to be very important, which will dovetail into my thing that makes me nervous, I should say, later on in this episode, to make this offense a little bit more consistent and not have it go off the tracks on Sunday is having Aaron Jones established. I think Aaron Jones, who has been great for the Vikings, has been a godsend in this running game. I am most confident that Aaron Jones can run up and down and set the tone and keep the Vikings on the track. So my biggest thing that I'm most confident in is definitely Aaron Jones continuing his strong start to the season.
Yeah, it's Aaron Jones he's been talking some game. I feel like it's all in fun though, but
it's in fun. It's not Jair stuff by any means.
But he also, it's not like you're the Giants and you move on from Saquon Barkley and then you just kind of put hodgepodge guys back there. The Packers replaced Aaron Jones with Josh Jacobs for pretty comparable money. It's like kind of apples to apples.
Yep.
They basically said, we think Jacobs is better and will stay healthier. So it was kind of and the Packers are a contending team that's looking to win big, and they decided that Aaron Jones was no longer part of that plan. So he puts on kind of a fun-loving front to this, but I bet his ego probably wore that for a few months.
Oh, yeah, no question.
I'd say the thing that I'm most confident in, and Judd, you touched on this, but I will highlight it, is what the Vikings defense did to the Packers at Lambeau on October 29th, 2023. Most of the focus when we look back to that game is on Kirk Cousins for two reasons. One, he blew up his Achilles. But two, before he did, the talk was about this offense exploding. He had 270 passing yards halfway through the third quarter, one of the best games of his career. And we focus on how much the Vikings offense was taking off at that point. But they held the Packers inside their own stadium to 10 points, 3 points at halftime. The Packers ran almost 60 plays in that game, and they only had like 270 yards. So it was a slog for them. The Packers also committed 11 penalties in that game. They couldn't convert a third down for most of the game. They only possessed the ball for 23 minutes. Jordan Love took, I believe it was 4 sacks in that game too. So just, it was a Brian Flores masterpiece that gets kind of overshadowed. In fairness, I think the Packers and Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love would say, yeah, but we didn't really get it going until maybe a couple weeks later into November. So we feel like our performance at US Bank Stadium was more reflective of where these franchises stand right now. And the Vikings could come back and say, yeah, Jaron Hall started that game for us. So, do you believe in what Brian Flores did to Jordan Love in that game at Lambeau? And I think there's a lot to take away from it. So I'm pretty confident that they're going to make it really hard on Jordan Love. Okay, thing that you are the most nervous about on behalf of the Vikings.
I'm going to go micro here. It's not the sexiest thing, but I am concerned because I saw him struggle against the Texans, and it's the fact that Garrett Bradbury is playing hurt. Look, a center, once you hit week 2, a center is probably, and heck, guys along the offensive line at that point are never going to be fully healthy again until the season is done. But Garrett Bradbury playing on a bad ankle is really less than optimal. Now, Kenny Clark has a bad toe and has been, or was, limited in practice on both Wednesday and Thursday. And I would guess he's going to get an injury designation on Friday. I'm sure he'll play, but perhaps he's slowed as well. But boy, as we've discussed for a few years on this show, the pressure up the middle is the problem. First of all, the Vikings have good tackles. Second of all, it takes that pressure, and if the quarterback has any sense of pressure, it's a little bit easier to manage that. If it comes at you straight, you're basically screwed. Yeah. So Garrett Bradbury, for a second consecutive week, I believe trying to play hurt actually does concern me.
My biggest concern is the Green Bay Packers have been excellent at forcing takeaways this year. So right now they are +7 in the takeaway giveaway battle this season. That's the best figure in the NFL. They have forced 7 interceptions. They've recovered 2 fumbles as an offense, even with Malik Willis basically playing 2 of these last 3 games. They've only turned the ball over 2 times all season. So it is a very opportunistic defense, and we've had a few moments of the blue screen of death moment with Sam Darnold, which is why I really want an established run game with Aaron Jones, and if Darnold can just be complimentary, and I think mostly he has been complimentary. He's put up some big-time throws, no doubt, but if they ask Sam Darnold to drop back here 35 to 40 times, I do not like that recipe for a win for the Vikings. I think they're going to pick him off and just make Sam Darnold's life hell. So my biggest concern is this opportunistic defense by Green Bay forcing Darnold into bad habits.
To piggyback off that, now you've got 3 weeks of film. Matt LaFleur clearly has shown, at least on the offensive side, but he also, I'm sure, has thoughts on what the Packers can do defensively. He can make adjustments very quickly in a short amount of time, as evidenced by Malik Willis coming on board. So what have they picked up the first 3 weeks of Sam Darnold? Darnold, historically, has struggled against pressure, and mistakes can compound. KOC has coached some of that out of him and schemed some of it out too. But yeah, what happens if, because he's tried to turn the ball over a couple more times than he has actually turned the ball over. What happens if, one of those weird shovel passes or whatever happens and then it goes the other way and now you're trailing? Game flow has been very friendly to the Vikings too. Another thing I'd be nervous about is at some point they're probably going to be down 10-0 early or 14-0. Can this team play from that style of game flow, or do they have to have a lead lean on Brian Flores, pinning ears back, pass rushing, right? What happens if the other team, the Packers, takes a lead and now they're running the ball? Which leads me to the thing that I'm the most nervous about. It's the fact that the Green Bay Packers are averaging 204 rushing yards a game, number one in the NFL through 3 weeks. They've rushed the ball for 612 yards. They're averaging 5.5 yards per attempt. Yep. And it's not all Malik Willis running around. It's a schemed running game. They do a really good job running the football. And the Vikings to this point have not really been challenged in that way because they've been taking leads for the most part, and the opposing team is forced to pass the ball.
That's where I think the what ultimately looks like the decision to start Love is intriguing, because are they going to be tempted to try to pass more with him starting, which I think would sort of play into the Vikings' hands? Because I'm with you. I would think that if you started Willis, which means that you install RPOs, right? That would actually be more of a detriment to the Vikings than it would be to have a guy that is very adept at passing the ball, but he's going to drop back and he can't move as much. So I actually think the Love thing, we can get mocked for this. And yes, he is good. I'm not saying he's not, but I think in his current condition, I would rather see Jordan Love start.
Malik Willis.
Or I'm sorry.
Or no.
You're
right.
Jordan Love start.
Yeah, I got you.
I would rather have Jordan Love start.
Yep. So, no, I'm sorry. It's my.
No.
I lost the trail there for a second.
No worries. Just a fun back and forth.
Here's an interesting statistic on like the Vikings run defense. They've only been allowing 3.5 yards per carry, which is good. Mm-hmm. But they have faced the second fewest rushing attempts of any defense in the NFL so far this year. They've only faced 60 rushing attempts on the season.
Yeah.
Because of game flow.
Yep.
So if you fall behind, we don't but in the 60 they've only allowed 71 yards a game and 3.5 yards a carry, and that's a good sign.
Yep.
But what happens if the Packers get into a situation where they're literally handing it off in some form 30 or 35 times? Are the Vikings able to, because they feel kind of small and speedy on defense. They don't have established run stuffing players up front. Yep. Something to keep an eye on game flow wise.
Yeah, and off that point too, Jonathan Bullard has a knee injury.
Yeah.
Limited on Wednesday, did not practice on Thursday, and you might be like, well, he's not that great, but he is one of your guys who actually can help attempt to stuff the run. So if the Packers do decide to ground and pound, the Vikings don't have a lot of guys that's just one flat out place that they need help.
Yeah.
And didn't get it. So that could get dicey. I just think with Jordan Love there's going to be a temptation to pass, so we'll see.
Okay, next category. Is anyone playing or coaching for their job this week? Probably not on the Viking side. Well, I mean, I think I continue to say, as we get closer to the activation of Dalton Reisner, I really think Ed Ingram is playing for his job in the next week or two. PFF hates him again so far this year, so I don't think he's getting pulled like second quarter. But I'm going to keep putting it. We're on Ed Ingram watch here, very much. Maybe even warning if he has another bad game.
And I agree with you, but it's been so long now that it's almost done. I'll believe he's being benched when I actually see Reisner jogging on the field to replace him or starting a game. But I would say that the overall answer, big picture wise, is no. No, I think on both sides. I think you've got a lot of people who are off to good starts and aren't in jeopardy.
Yeah. Okay, what are the Sharps saying about this game? Let's go to actionnetwork.com. Brian Flores blitzes at the second highest rate in the NFL, and Jordan Love was the second highest graded player in the league last year against the blitz, finishing with 12 touchdowns and just 1 interception when blitzed last year. Green Bay's young offensive line also ranks second in pass protection via PFF, which is a massive thing against that aggressive front seven. So Matt LaFleur providing answers to the test for Jordan Love. Sam Darnold has been one of the best stories to start the season, but he hasn't been asked to do a whole lot in this offense. He beat a bad Giants secondary in week 1, and in the past 2 weeks, he's been blitzed at a sub 20% rate. So he hasn't faced a lot of exotic looks and blitzes. Darnold has a long career of faltering under pressure and has yet to prove he can thrive outside the machinations of Kevin O'Connell's offense. Jeff Hafley's Packers defense will ask those questions of Darnold with an aggressive front seven that's coming off an 8-sack outing against the Titans. So Action Network actually leans Packers in this one.
Can I help them a little bit here? Vikings fans, and quite frankly, Vikings players and coaches do not care if Sam Darnold cannot successfully operate outside the machinations of KO's offense. That's for somebody else to be concerned about probably in 2025. So, like, okay, what are you saying? Like, Kevin O'Connell's not going to walk away from the job.
No,
like,
that's a great point.
That's the whole point.
What if he can't perform outside of O'Connell's system? Well, someone else can deal with that.
Exactly. like there's zero relevance to that point in this game.
Yeah. Playoff odds from The Athletic here. Vikings up to a 77% chance to make the playoffs now that they've started 2-0 and beat the Niners and the Texans. They have a 36% chance to win the division and a 6% chance to win the whole bleeping thing. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. In terms of where the money's at, the Vikings are 3-point underdogs at the time of this recording here. 82% of bets are on the Vikings. 65% of money is on the Vikings. So a lot of people looking at it was 2.5 at one point. Now it's 3-point, but a lot of money coming in on the Vikings. You say, we're going to give that team some points. Okay, we'll take those. So we will make our official picks here in just a moment. Judd, tell the audience about your tune-up here. It's going pretty well after a couple weeks.
It's going absolutely fantastic. So, as you recall, a couple of years ago, I talked about, and there he is, Sports Dad right there. Thanks to Livia Weight Control Centers, helped me drop the weight. And you know what? Quite frankly, Sports Dad had gained a few pounds back, and he's like, "Oh no, Dikembe Mutombo style. I am not going to allow this." So back to Livia, I went, and in 2 weeks, guess what, folks? I am down 11 plus pounds, feeling great. I think I look thinner, I look healthier, and I want you to follow my lead by dropping those unwanted pounds. Here's the thing. The one-on-one consultation there is fantastic because there's no guilt trips. There's no excessive asks of you have to do this or that. There is one thing. There's support, and there's also a plan that I'm going to tell you works. Join their nutrition plan today, and you're going to get your first 8 weeks for free. Plus their medical side offers weight loss medications for accelerated results, if that's what you want as well. Livia flat out works, and it's this simple. Give them a call, 855-GO LIVEA, livia.com, livea.com, inside or outside the state, because the whole thing can be done virtually. Follow my lead if you're trying to drop those pounds, livea.com.
All right, Dex, underdog. Be a big weekend on underdog.
It is. I actually have 2 picks. I'm going to share them both with the audience here. Let's take field goals made on Reichard. Let's have that Aaron Jones touchdown. And let's put the under even on Jordan Love. Plus a JJ reception of over 27 yards. I like that. I'm going to go risky. I'm going to ride lower with Josh Jacobs there on the rushing yards. That's a risky proposition. But I have a tough... It's like when I used to draft fantasy football players. I would always avoid NFC North players because I didn't want to root for them as they were playing the Vikings. So that's kind of my philosophy there. Plus, I'll keep riding the Sam Darnold train with the touchdown. So you can get on these picks with me at Underdog. Promo code SCORE. You can get those hires on the pick'ems. Send me all those great screenshots. Love everyone that has joined Underdog. Promo code SCORE for a 50% deposit match.
Okay, boys. Time to make our official picks for tomorrow's game. By the way, Vikings Vent Line is the place to be post-game for every Vikings game, live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, where we turn the show over to you guys, the amazing Purple Daily community. So straight up this season, Judd is 2-1. I'm 2-1. Dex is 1-2. Against the spread, Judd is 3-0. Dex and I are both 2-1. The number we have for the recording of this podcast is Packers by 3 points. So, Judd, we'll start with you. Who wins and by how many?
Vikings outright. Vikings outright.
Snap. Okay.
So they're going to win this game, and so the spread becomes not my concern once they do. I'm not going against them until I see something that concerns me. And I'm not going to hold it against them that they basically, save for the Jones fumble in week 2, they basically have blown out 3 teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you're blowing teams out.
Including 2 Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. So
based
I'm
on
going
a lot
Vikings.
of people's thoughts. So, all right, Dex, who wins by how many?
So, I mean, I think both the Texans and Niners are better teams than the Packers, and yet this still feels like maybe their toughest test yet, which is, and it's on the road, which is obviously plays a big factor there too, but this is still going to be a pretty tough game, and I think it's not going to be as high scoring and maybe as fun as the other 2 games, just in terms of like the Vikings kicking their ass. I think the Vikings and Packers are going to be trading blows a little bit more here and there. I still like the Vikings though. So I have the Vikings winning this game, and I have them just like Judd cover or winning outright, so that they will cover the spread. So another win for the Vikings, and yes, they'll cover.
Yeah, as soon as Jordan Love went down week 1, I circled a game that I originally had as a loss, and I flipped it to a win. And I thought he wasn't going. I thought 2 things at the time. I thought he wasn't going to be back in time for this game. I also thought Malik Willis was going to be a disaster, and the Packers were probably going to lose a couple games. Well, turns out there's not really a wrong answer at court. I mean, they're either going with a guy that played near an MVP level down the stretch last year at maybe 80%, or they're going with a guy that they've been able to trick up this really great running game with some deep passing attacks. So the Packers are much more formidable going into this game than I thought they would be 2 weeks ago. I will give them that. But if I'm getting 3 points for one, like I'll take those for the spread, and I'll pick the Vikings straight up in this one too. I called it before the season, or after they won the first game. They're going to finish 4-1 going into the bye week, and they'd have to win their next couple games. Well, they'd have to win one of their next 2 games, I guess, to go at least 4-1 because they're 3-0. But long story short, I got the Vikings just like you guys do, winning and obviously covering. We'll see what happens.
Hold on. I think if I hear all that, there's only one
Oh, sure.
thing
Let's
to
get
do.
that flag.
Only one
Let's
way
go.
to go out on a Saturday. Woohoo!
Tomorrow, whatever happens, we've got you covered live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, Vikings Vent Line. This is Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.